Welcome, everyone, to Fearlessly Girl Live, the America's largest high school or assembly. I want to introduce Kate Whitfield and Madison Keys.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to, like you just heard, America's biggest anti-bullying assembly ever. We have amazing girls here in the audience, and we also have over 7,000 girls in over 22 states joining us here today as well.
Yeah, we firstly want to thank all of our sponsors and everyone who is helping. Obviously, the production is by D Films, and we also have our sponsors Nike, Net Generation, and Augustana College. They are a massive part of why we're all here today, and I know Kate and I are both very excited to be here and ready to talk to everyone.
We are so excited to talk to everybody. I mean, one thing that Madison and I always talk about is just the importance of creating a kinder girl world and helping girls be kinder to themselves and being kinder to each other. And some of the pressure and expectation that we're all dealing with can make that sometimes really, really difficult. And so that was essentially why we wanted to get kind of partnered up in doing this, and why it was so important for all of us, and why it was so important for all of us to have everybody here today to really have this conversation, not only here in this room, but across the nation, and seeing what we can all do to kind of do our part to create that kinder girl world. So I know for me, when this all started, I was in 9th grade, and I remember just having a total, complete girl world makeover. That would have been nice. Meltdown, total girl world meltdown. Have any of you ever been in that position? Just total girl world meltdown, freak out, right? We've been there. And we were talking about this backstage, about, you guys know when you see a movie and like the main girl kind of is having a really bad day, like she's had her heart broken, or like her dog ran away or something, and she has like this perfect cry, like this little tear going down her face. Have you seen that?
And it's always like waterproof mascara.
Always.
So there's no streaky black lines running down your face.
No, it's perfect. And her hair is like softly blowing in the wind. You know, it's like the most tragic, beautiful thing you've ever seen in your life. And Madison and I were like, well, that's not us. So we'd like to know, because it's all about being real here today. Do we have any ugly criers in the audience? Here and at home. Please at home, will you? Yes, okay. So this really came about, Fearlessly Girl really came about because of a total like girl world meltdown, ugly cry scenario. And I just remember being so overwhelmed with the pressure to please everybody and to look a certain way and act a certain way and dress a certain way. And I figured that there had to be a better opportunity. And I think the thing that's so overlooked when it comes to girl world, and we're so good at talking. You know, we talk about so much stuff, but we don't often talk about the things that really matter, and the insecurities that we're all dealing with, and the things we're all feeling. And, you know, I know a lot of us in the audience here, and I know a lot of us at home in our schools that are participating can relate to the idea of wearing a mask, right? And just pretending everything's good, and we're happy, and we're smiling, when really we're hurting inside, you know? And that was really where Fearlessly Girl came from, was a place of hurt, you know, of feeling not good enough and not special enough and not, you know, enough, generally speaking, right? And I know that that's something that most of us can relate to. And so that's how this all came about, and, you know, getting involved with Madison. And I'd love for you to share with the audience kind of what drew you to this cause.
I also kind of had my ugly cry meltdown one day. I just remember there were so many terrible things going on in the world. And every time I turned the news on, it was some horrible story, and I felt super helpless. And I remember just thinking, I want to help make the world a little bit better. And what can I do so that I don't feel so helpless? And, you know, Kate and I kind of immediately clicked. And, I mean, within first meeting each other, somehow we got off onto the topic of, like, being in a dressing room, and you know that moment where you've tried something on and it's
a little
too
tight. We've all been there. Come on, we've all been there.
And you have to like somehow get it off, and all of a sudden you're like sweating because you can't get it off.
And you're like hunched over, and it's like half off, but it's not going over your shoulders.
No, and you're so nervous, and you're like, they're gonna have to cut me out of this.
Yeah,
it's gonna
and
be a
then
disaster.
you're trying to glance at the price tag because you're like, how much is it gonna cost me to like bust out of this thing? Because like we've all been, it's a terrifying moment.
Yes.
Because it's like, this is my life forever now. Like I'm never getting out of this dressing room.
I'm gonna have to live my life in this dress that doesn't fit me.
And then you're like, am I wearing cute underwear? Because I know someone's going to have to come in here and help me out of this, right? Like, so that was our first real kind of conversation about this whole thing.
That was the first day that Kate and I met.
So that's kind of where this all came from. But guys, we're going to get into it shortly. We're so excited to be here. We really want to have a really real, really honest conversation with not only the beautiful girls here, but the beautiful girls at home. So we would love to invite you girls to participate along with us. So we have our Instagram page and our FearlesslyGiRL page that's live and being monitored right now. So if you guys have any questions for us, we would love to hear from you. We have, like I said, 22 states and provinces participating today. So we want to open it up to have you guys involved and to be sharing with us. You can also email us at hello@fearlesslyGiRL.com and let us know kind of what's on your mind and some topics you want to talk about, and pretty much ask us anything because we'll pretty much answer anything. So
I don't think there's a question that we haven't answered
I don't think so either. So we challenge you guys to see what you can come up with. And obviously you guys in the audience too, we want to hear from you. So again, welcome to the biggest anti-bullying assembly ever. And let's get started with the girl talk. Okay, so pressure and expectations. How many people feel like generally overwhelmed with the pressure of girl world? Right, most of us. So how we look, how we dress, how we act. I know a lot of us probably even hold back some of our thoughts and our feelings based on being worried about being judged by other people. So I know that that's like a big thing that we all kind of deal with, especially when we take into account that young women on average typically consume about 10.4 hours of media every day. And you know, we're obviously utilizing media and social media here today to reach so many girls. So there's obviously a lot of really beautiful things it can do to unite us. However, we typically only see one kind of girl portrayed in that media, right? So, you know, this perfect girl, like looking the way she looks and her hair and the perfect skin and perfect teeth, and like let's not forget eyebrows because that's like a really big thing now. And not when I was in high school though, like that was a look back then, was like you pluck them all out pretty much and like draw them back on. So thank goodness that has changed. But there's always pressure on us, right? And you know, one thing you and I have talked about, and I'd love for you to share with the girls, is like the pressure that you feel, you know, being in the public eye and growing up in the public eye, and how that has maybe influenced some of your decisions and some of the way that you feel about yourself even and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all heard people say you shouldn't get sucked into Instagram or Twitter, or, you know, try not to live your life completely online. And a massive part of what I do is talking to my fans and, you know, reaching out to people who don't actually get to see all of my matches. So I love social media, and I think it's amazing, and I get to, you know, talk to all of you guys. But so often, I mean, you know, when you're laying in bed and you can't quite fall asleep, and you go to your Instagram Explore page, and then you are scrolling and scrolling, and you're like, oh, it'll just be like 10 minutes. And then you look up and it's like 3 hours later. And all of a sudden you're like, I've seen everyone do their makeup perfectly. Yes. Their hair is fantastic. And it's like, God, these outfits are amazing, and I pretty much live my life in sweatpants all of the time. So that for me has been one of the tougher things to manage, because I've had so many great experiences online and talking to everyone, but I also get a lot of, you know, horrible messages. So for me, it's just been a constant balance of how do I take the good out of it, and how do I block out the bad, but also how do I remember to live my life? And again, it's such an amazing tool, because we wouldn't be able to do this without it today. But I think you kind of just have to take it for what it is and just try to make it a more positive experience.
No, I agree with you completely, and I think there's something to be said too for this, like how social media really is such an integral part of our lives. I mean, we are on it all the time. We communicate through it, and so it's almost like another language tool that we have, you know, like a really important communication tool that we have. But the thing that we forget, and it goes exactly to what you were saying about when we scroll through, you know, and we just go down that rabbit hole of these pictures of these girls, like, I think it's sometimes easier to understand that when, you know, we're looking at a magazine, you know, like we kind of have an understanding, like, yes, those photos are probably altered, you know, like we have an awareness, generally speaking, about that. But the trouble now that I feel, like, I compare myself more to the people in my world, like real life people that I know, than I do to celebrities, because I feel like when we're scrolling through these news feeds, we forget that we are comparing ourselves to somebody else's, like, highlight reel. You know, like we're comparing ourselves to the highest, best moments of people's lives, unless you're on Snapchat, and that's just like how, you know, how you can make like the ugliest face and send to your best friend. But on Instagram and, you know, Facebook and stuff like that, as much as I love those tools, I think that it can sometimes, we forget that we're not posting the ugly cry moments on Instagram, being like, had a terrible day, you know, like everything's going wrong. We're not doing that. We're posting, you know, like I'm with cool people and I'm having fun. And then if you're not a part of that and you see your friends posting, so I feel like when we start to kind of live in that Instagram world where, and we don't take into account like, those are like the highlight moments of your day, and you're comparing your whole life to those few moments, it can easily make us feel really bad. And I think that's something that to be mindful of when it comes to the pressure. It's not so much coming necessarily from, you know, the more traditional media outlets. It's coming a lot from like the content and the media that we're creating. And so one thing that I would like to see more of is creating like sharing our real lives. You know, because ever since we're young, it's almost like we have to put this mask on and pretend everything is great and perfect. And we don't leave room for reality and for being authentic and for being, you know, truly who you are. And I mean, I'm not expecting anybody here to have that figured out. I know you and I don't even have that figured out yet.
Not even close.
Not even close. But that's what I think is really beautiful when we can come together as girls and women and say, you know what, guys, I'm struggling. I don't feel good today. You know, like I'm confused. I don't know the right next move to make. And to have girls around us in our lives that can support us and elevate us. And, you know, I think that that's something that is important to remember, like in our day-to-day lives, but also, you know, when you're in the public eye as well. So what advice do you feel like you have for girls who maybe, you know, are comparing themselves a lot to, you know, these images out there and stuff like that? Do you have any words of wisdom?
I think the biggest thing is you have to remember there's usually a filter on it. Someone has photoshopped it. And also, how often are you out and you're not having a great time, but then you are like, okay, let's take a picture. And it looks like everyone's having lots of fun. And then you post that one picture and everyone's like, wow, they must have had an amazing day. And really it was like 3 seconds of your day.
Exactly. It's like that tiny moment.
Yeah, I think you have to remember that even if you had this amazing moment in your day, you can still have a bad day, and you have to remember that everyone is the same.
And we're all going through things, and we're all dealing with things. And I love the idea of kind of taking back social media and using it as a tool to really share our real lives and our real moments. Because one thing that I know from the last 10 years of traveling across, you know, North America, having these conversations with girls, is that we're starving for like real deal connection. You know, like we're plugged in all the time to our phones, and again, there's a lot of great things that come along with that, but we really need to connect with each other, and we really need reality to come back into the mix. You know, like I love when I see somebody that I admire online who's like, this is my makeup-free selfie, you know, or opportunities where they kind of share like, things aren't going great right now, but I'm really trying. And I think that's something that we can all relate to. And so I'd love to have a more authentic story being told using these amazing platforms that we have, because I think that's something that's so brave and so beautiful and so special to be able to share that with each other. Because, you know, those ugly cry moments, those meltdowns, like pretty much everybody here, put your hand up. I'm sure so many of the girls at home that are joining us, put your hands up as well. And so today really isn't about perfection in any way whatsoever. Today isn't about being a perfect girl. Today is about realizing that we are messy and confused and we don't have it all figured out, and that is beautiful and amazing, and that's something that I think really unites us when it comes to the pressure. So I love the advice you had about not comparing yourself to other people. I think that's really important. But anyway, we could keep talking forever.
We really could.
So I hope you guys have all day. So what we're going to do now is I think we're going to hop to a couple questions. So if anybody in the audience has a question for us, please make your way down to the 2 mics. Hopefully some of you girls at home have sent in your questions for us. So Maddie, why don't you take the first question?
Okay, we have Carrie S. from Washington. In what areas of your life do you feel the most pressure? I would say for me, I'm probably a little bit different, because my, you know, most pressure-filled moments are when I'm in front of a really big crowd and I feel like I could mess up at any second. And for me, I feel like it's magnified because half of the time I'm on TV. So, I mean, imagine having one of your worst days ever at school or whatever, and then feeling like everyone's watching it happen.
The whole world
is
can
watching
see
it
it.
happen. And so that has always been something for me that I've had to focus on, not trying to be perfect, and if I make a mistake, owning it, and, you know, just kind of laughing at myself a little bit.
I love that. We have to laugh at ourselves more. Like, we really do. And so that was from Carrie S. in Washington. So thank you, Carrie, so much for your question. So happy to have you joining us. For me, let's go back to one, the pressure. I have to say, like, the pressure for me, it's like right now, probably, right now in front of 7,000 people. But it really is like, and that's one thing we were talking about backstage too, is that this opportunity of launching Fearlessly Girl in the States is so incredible, and so many people have supported it. And so that's, for me, is like the most pressure, is like just not wanting to disappoint people when it comes to like this mission that I've kind of dedicated my whole life to. So that, for me, is where the pressure comes from, for sure.
We have one very brave girl who wants to ask a question.
So I was wondering if you guys have any tips for someone who really, really wants to add to a conversation and thinks they can, but just feels like what they're going to say isn't the right thing to say, or doesn't make sense in the conversation, or the other people that they're having the conversation with won't think that what they say is something that adds to the conversation or something like that.
That's an amazing question, and I think you did a great job of coming up and
Yeah,
having that
can we give her a round of
conversation
applause
with
for
us.
being the first brave girl out here?
Thank you. What's your name?
Nora Nunez.
So nice to meet you. So that's an incredible conversation, because I don't know, like, a lot of you probably wouldn't believe this about me, given that I'm up here, and I was so shy when I was in, you know, kind of elementary, in the first few years of high school. Like, I was so terrified to talk to another human that I would have rather, like, starved to death than ordered pizza on the phone and talked to somebody I didn't know. So I relate to that, and I always had that, like, voice in our head. And I'm curious to know, like, at you know, the home schools in here, how many of you guys doubt yourselves before you jump into a conversation sometimes? Like, how many of you feel, yeah, so you're totally not alone. It's something that we all kind of deal with. But I think the thing is, it's like, you know, when it comes to the idea of being a fearless girl, it's not about waiting for that fear to disappear. You know, we're always going to be scared of that, and we're always going to have those doubts. For me, I think it's about being scared, but just like taking that risk. And it's almost like you're exercising that ability. You know, like you give it a try, and you kind of jump into a conversation, and you see, you know, okay, that didn't go terribly. You know, and then it kind of builds your confidence as you go. Like, I'd love to be able to wave a magic wand and just have everybody in this room feel confident and powerful and strong. And it's stuff that it takes work, you know? So the fact that it's something that, you know, not only that you want to work on, but the fact that you came up here in front of, no pressure, 7,000 people and had that, like, that's amazing. That's an amazing step that you took. So I think you just keep practicing, and eventually that muscle will kind of grow stronger. So that's my advice. I'd love to know what you think.
I mean, I think it's kind of what she said as well. It's just getting used to it, and the more you do it, the more comfortable you'll be. But also, I think you'll actually be surprised. People will want to hear what you have to say. And I think you'll feel more confident and comfortable asking that question, because you'll stop doubting yourself quite as much. I'm not going to say you're going to stop doubting yourself completely,
no,
because I don't think that ever happens, but you'll just feel a little bit more confident in the whole situation.
I love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have another question from Sheila from Maryland. Hi, Sheila from Maryland. What should you do when you think no one likes you? Oh boy. You want to take this one? You want me to go?
I mean, I think if you feel like no one likes you and you feel like you don't really have a lot of friends, I think you kind of just have to figure out why you're feeling like that, first of all. I'm sure that people like you, and I'm sure you would have lots of friends. I think maybe you just have to kind of get outside of your comfort zone and
exactly. And
talk to people, and you know, sometimes it takes work to find a great group of friends who you feel super confident and comfortable with.
No, that's exactly right. And I think that half the battle as well is, again, it kind of goes back to that voice we have in our head telling us we're not good enough. And we're so worried about what everybody else is thinking about us. But what we fail to realize is that everybody else is so worried about what you were thinking about them that they're probably not even thinking about you, you know? And so it's something that we kind of have to overcome when it comes to that idea, like, and it's an absolute fear. I mean, I definitely relate to feeling that way when I was in school, thinking like nobody likes you, and then feeling like you have to change in order to impress somebody. And I definitely, like, it was around like 8th grade or so, like I really bought into that. And I remember like changing all the clothes I wore and, you know, begging for different outfits and stuff just because I could then like fit in, like that, you know, really mattered. And I realized like very quickly that that's not the right way to do it, that you have to get like really comfortable and really confident in yourself and do what you love to do. And, you know, just kind of express yourself in that way instead of trying to change yourself for other people. So, do we have another? I think we have time for another question.
Would you like to ask a question?
Yeah. Oh God.
Let's welcome her up to the microphone.
It's all right.
This one's more for Madison. Well, I'm in band, and there's a lot of things I have to do, like standing on stage or being in the front of like a humongous crowd, and I get like really nervous. What are like some tips to not be nervous?
Well, believe it or not, yes, I play in front of massive crowds all of the time, and I've gotten a lot more comfortable with that. But if I'm in like the finals of a tournament and I have to get up and talk to everyone, I'm so nervous. Like even right now, this makes me so nervous and anxious. And for me, it's just kind of making myself do it. And you almost have to kind of embrace it in a way, and it's like an adrenaline rush. It's definitely not easy sometimes. But the biggest thing I think is, you know, practice it. You know, if you have to speak in front of someone or it's just being comfortable in front of someone, you have to kind of visualize and pretend that you're doing it so that you feel more comfortable. And even if you have someone who can be there with you, you know, you talk to someone before and be like, I'm really, really nervous right now. You know, can you help me through this and just remind me that you're there? Sometimes that just makes it a little bit easier.
I agree.
Hopefully
that's
that
awesome
helps.
advice. Yeah, that's awesome advice, especially from, being in front of, how many people watched you at the US Open?
I don't even want to know the number because that'll
Probably
start
a lot.
making me
Probably a lot.
nervous.
All right. Okay, so what we're going to do now, because I think the one thing that we've all kind of realized through this conversation already is like we are all kind of dealing with very similar things, and we're all kind of on the same team. And there's no real better way to kind of show that than with this next activity. So what we're going to do, and girls at home, I keep saying at home and at school, we would love to have you guys join us as well. So what we're going to do is Madison and I are going to take turns reading a bunch of statements, okay? If the statement is something that you feel like is true for you and you're comfortable revealing that, all we want you to do here and all we want you to do at home is to just raise your hand, okay? So we're going to go back and forwards. If it's something that is true for you, but you're like, don't want to talk about it, don't want to share it, you don't have to, okay? So we want everyone to be super comfortable here today. But I also kind of just want to see like how much we really have in common, okay? So Madison, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, who here feels the pressure to act or dress a certain way in order to fit in?
Tons of us, yeah, okay. Thanks, guys. Okay, next one. I feel pressure to be perfect. Okay, yeah, hands down.
I sometimes talk myself out of doing something because I don't think I'm good enough.
Okay, thanks, guys. I have been bullied.
Sometimes I laugh and smile and pretend I'm okay when really I'm hurting inside.
Okay. I have experienced cyber drama or cyberbullying. Okay.
I feel like I've been judged unfairly.
All right. I feel pressure to be a people pleaser and make everybody happy all the time.
I have somebody in my life whom I owe an apology.
Okay. I regret doing something unkind to another person.
I am super stressed out and under a ton of pressure.
Hard to be silent on that one. Where am I at? I've had a rumor spread about me and it really hurt me. Okay.
I sometimes find it hard to stand up and forgive someone because I'm worried about what people will think.
Okay. I have grown apart and lost touch with some of my friends. Ooh.
I wish people knew the real me.
Okay, awesome. Guys, what I want you all to do here in the audience, you girls at home, give yourself a big round of applause for what you just did. It's always, whenever we do our summits together, I know it's something that we always find so touching when, you know, we show up out of the blue and we're like, we want you to share with everybody in this room your insecurities, the things that you're dealing with. And it's such a scary thing to do. But what all of you girls did, and why I know like we're both so proud of you, is because when you put your hand up and when you like step up and say like, yes, like I'm going through this, I'm feeling this, I'm dealing with this. The girls in this room who were dealing with this stuff and thinking that they were the only ones in the world to feel this way, you girls let them all know that they are not alone. And I think that's so brave and so beautiful and so important. So thank you guys so much for doing that. So again, another round of applause because you're just amazing. Okay, so just show of hands here in the audience and girls at home. Were any of you surprised with how many girls were putting your hands up over and over and over again? I think it was the stressed out one that got the most,
For sure.
the most buzz. What did you think? Like, we've talked about this before, but share with the girls, like, what did you notice about that? What were you maybe surprised about?
I mean, we've done a few of these now, and I think it almost makes me sad that I'm not surprised, just because I think all of us have gone through something so similarly, and I think that's the whole reason why we're here today. I think we, you know, hopefully in time want to get somewhere and people are surprised that we've been bullied or we feel the pressure to be perfect, and I think that's kind of what both of us are trying to achieve.
For sure, absolutely. And that's the thing, I think that was, you know, such an interesting point that you made about how you're not surprised, you know, like we're just, and I think for me though, like when I was going through all like the self-esteem stuff, I was in high school and I hid it really well, you know, like I put that mask on and I pretended everything was okay. And the reason that I did that was because I thought I was the only one to feel this way. And I thought that that meant that there was something wrong with me, you know? And like that's a really kind of awful conclusion to come to. And you look for ways to kind of reinforce that out in the world. And for me, you know, I definitely put that mask on and was pretending everything was good. And it wasn't until I really started talking to some friends of mine about what we were feeling that things started to change for me. And when I started getting into this kind of right out of high school and having these conversations with girls, you know, I'd look out, you know, like I'm looking out now, and I wish I could see you girls at home. I look out and I see a room full of like strong, beautiful, powerful girls, and girls who have a voice that matters. And not only does it matter, you know, we talk a lot about this, it's necessary to share that and to take up that space in the world, and to be able to, and to realize that so many of you don't feel the way that we see you, and how so many of us are holding back our voices and our opinions and our ideas, you know, like that just breaks my heart because there's so much magic in that. And because of wanting to put on that happy face and wanting to pretend everything is good, we kind of lose out on that opportunity to really connect with each other. And that's why Madison and I know, are so passionate about doing events like these in schools, because it provides an opportunity to just break down those barriers and to really get real with each other and to realize like, yes, we are all going through this. And we're all dealing with this. And again, I just want to say, like, you girls here and you girls at home that participated in that activity, was really brave of you. So thank you guys so much. Shall we move on?
Yes, I think so.
Because again, we could just keep talking. That's the problem. So the next thing that I would like to talk to you guys, or we'd like to talk to you guys about, is kind of comes off of what we were talking about because of all this, the pressure and the expectation that we have. You know, so many of us are hurting inside, and I'm a big believer that if you're hurting, it's easier to kind of lash out and hurt other people. And so, you know, I know when we asked earlier, and maybe we'll ask again. How many girls in the audience here and at home have had a girl do something unkind to them at some point in their lives? Online, off, most of us. And for being really real here, how many of us have done something to a girl that we feel like super bad about? We wish we didn't do it. Most of us. And so that's the kind of reality of this conversation, is that we are all part of this. Like, we're all part of this, the problem. But the thing that we need to realize is we are the only solution. And we have to come together. We have to have each other's backs, and we have to kind of have this conversation. So today, here, today at home, this is a judgment-free zone. We've all made mistakes. We've all lashed out. We've all had that really bad day and that really bad moment that we wish we could take back. And so this is kind of, like the stuff that we all deal with. And I know, again, kind of going back to your experience being in the public eye with bullying, how's that been like?
I've definitely dealt more with the online cyberbullying. Pretty much anytime I put a picture on Instagram or I put something out online, there's always negative comments. No matter what, I will triple check everything and make sure I'm like, no one could possibly say something bad about this. And sure enough, I post something and 5 minutes later, there's something bad, and if I lose matches, I get some really horrible, just hateful messages, and that's what I've had to deal with. And I think the biggest thing that I've done is I've kind of started exposing those people.
I've seen it. You need to follow Madison. Like, your responses are good. I like that.
I mean, I've always, I always try not to do it in a nasty way or, kind of engage in the situation. It's just more making these people realize that there's someone on the receiving end of their message. You can't just say something horrible about a person and then forget that they're an actual human being. So that's definitely kind of what I've had to deal with. I think, Kate, you've probably dealt with it more on the high school in-person level.
Yeah, that's right. Because like Madison and I were talking earlier, she's like, I did not have a normal high school experience. Like,
no, I was homeschooled from 5th grade, so I mean,
traveling the world playing tennis, like, no big deal.
Like,
super
I just
casual.
stressed myself out all of the time.
But yeah, no, I did have that more traditional high school experience, and for me, it was the way bullying really impacted me, and what really kind of caused the drive to start having these conversations with girls was because I would see bullying, and I think I mentioned earlier I was like super, super shy. I felt powerless to do anything about it. Like, I wasn't the kind of girl that could just like jump into a conversation and jump in and stick up for somebody, even though that was like the only thing in the world my heart wanted to do. I was so shy, and I'd go home just like crying, ugly cry, remember that. Go home crying because I just felt like I couldn't do anything, and I would see these people being hurt, and then I felt bad because I didn't do anything to stop it. And that was the real issue that I feel like I experienced, and why it's so important to stick together and have each other's back, because that to me is like one of the most powerful things we can do, because we're dealing with all these pressures and all these insecurities, and we're so stressed out and we're struggling in so many ways, and then on top of that to like add the girl hate to that, and it follows you home and it's online, like it's too much. And if we want to be able to have the right to show up and be ourselves and be authentic and be real and talk about our hobbies that we keep secret because we're embarrassed about them because we think that we're going to be judged for them, I mean, that to me just like breaks my heart. I feel like if we want the right to do that, we need to elevate other girls up, and we need to have each other's backs, and we need to create like a safe space for all girls to just be real and be accepted. And nobody knows better than you what it's like to be a girl right now and to be going through this stuff. And I think if anything, that should hopefully give us more compassion when it comes to dealing, more kindly with the girls around us. And to realize that, when we do stick up for another girl, even if it's scary, it matters. And even if we can't do that, even if we go up to the girl after the fact and say to her, I'm really sorry that happened to you. Like, you don't deserve it. Are you okay? just like being that girl that kind of shows up for another girl, I think is one of the most beautiful things in the world. And we think it's so simple, but it matters so deeply if you're that girl who in that moment feels terrible and feels not good enough, and feels like she really believes what somebody has said to her, to be able to be the girl that just kind of goes up and says, are you okay? Or to see a comment online and be like, private message her, and if you don't want to do it publicly, and just be like, hey, that really sucks, and I'm really sorry, and let's have lunch together tomorrow. You know what I mean? Just like reaching out is so vital.
Yeah, I just think it's even if you can't prevent the bullying either online or off, but being that support system for the person who's going through it, or even just going up to someone and saying, hey, I need some support right now. If you have your friends and they don't know what's going on, if you talk to them, a lot of times you feel so much better because you feel like you're not in it alone.
I think that's so true. Like that's why I think we both love this so much, is because when you get a room full of girls together and you realize that, oh my gosh, like we are all going through this, and we need each other, and we need to support each other, and we need to stick up for each other. And we were talking about this earlier, it can feel sometimes like when you're gossiping about another girl that you're bonding with your friends and you're bonding with the girls around you. But ultimately, when you do that, like it hurts everybody. And it creates this culture where that becomes okay to like cut down another girl and to make fun of another girl. And the thing is, like, again, it's not a judgment on anybody who's done that, because we've all been there at one point or another. We've all done stuff we feel bad about. It's just about when you really realize like that, like you said, there's a human behind that screen. And there's a human that feels the same way that you feel about these things. And we kind of take away that personal, like I could say something really nasty to you online when you lose a match, which is crazy to me, by the way, that people do that. And I'm not looking at your face when you read that. Maybe I'm mad about something and I take it out on you, and I don't realize that there's a human being that's going to feel something about that. And that's why it's so vital to have those conversations with each other and to talk about, like you said, like talk about the things that you're going through and share that. And maybe if it's not your group of friends, maybe it's a counselor at school, maybe it's a relative, maybe it's anybody, but like having the courage to reach out and ask for help and support, given that things are so hard, is I think a really brave and beautiful and necessary thing to do. So anyway. Do you feel like some questions?
Yes, let's ask some questions.
Okay, so girls in the audience, if we have any girls in the audience who'd like to come talk to us, we'd love to invite you down to the mics. Girls at home, I hope you've sent in your questions. Let's go to the first question from social media. Do we have one lined up? Maybe? We do. This is from Sarah S. in Iowa. Are we in Iowa or Illinois right now? I never know.
She never remembers which state we're in.
I don't know what side of the river I'm on ever. I don't know.
We are currently in Illinois.
Okay, so this is our sister state over in Iowa. Sarah, her question is, guys, I'm Canadian, okay? I'm really trying down here to figure this all out. Have you ever had to stand up for a friend who's being bullied? That's such a good question. For me, like I said, that I was so scared to do it. And so my way in the moment in high school was not to like jump in and say something. Like I wish I could have done that. But it was to go up to the girl after the fact, or the boy, and just be like, that was really mean, and I'm really sorry that happened to you, and are you okay? So it wasn't so much like the more in-your-face standing up for somebody. It was more like, can I help you kind of thing. So I don't know.
I see we have a question over here.
Awesome. Yeah, I was wondering, it's always important for girls to have role models and people they look up to and aspire to be more like. Who are some of the people that both of you have looked up to over the years, other women who inspire you?
That's great. Why don't you take that?
Well, I am personally a massive fan of Chrissy Teigen on Twitter. I'm sure everyone is following her. Not only is she cooks some amazing food. If you haven't bought her cookbook yet, I would highly recommend it. But she was actually kind of one of the few people who inspired me to start talking about the online trolls and getting that. And she has always kind of stood up for herself. And I think what was so special to me about that is if someone's getting bullied face to face, we've never said, just take it, ignore it. We always say, go ask someone for help. And I think a tough thing about online bullying is you can't really ask anyone for help because it's just you. So I think by making it kind of public and, showing the world that this is what you're dealing with, you actually get a lot of online support. And I can't tell you how many times I've had horrible matches, had some really terrible messages, and, kind of shown everyone what I was receiving, and all of a sudden, all of these messages started coming in and saying, this person is crazy, and, don't listen to them. We love you. And that truly means a lot to me.
I love that. And Chrissy Teigen, yes. Like, if you guys don't follow her on Instagram, you need to. She's not a sponsor of this, by the way, but maybe next year. Okay, yes, you over here. I'd love to hear from you. What's your name?
Jewel Dillard.
Hello, nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you too. I had a question on, do you have like any tips for girls who want to go ask for help but are too scared and don't know just how to get the courage to go ask someone else to help or talk to someone
that
they need help with something in their life that they can't deal with alone?
That's a beautiful question and such an important question, because it can be really scary to take that first step. And one thing that we do with the FearlesslyGiRL chapters is we have the peer leaders, and we always say for the peer leaders to kind of be that kind of stepping stone for the girls, to be somebody that they can go to and be like, look, I'm struggling with this, I need help, but I'm a bit too scared to go talk to a teacher. So or a counselor or somebody like that. So having peers or peer leaders, or an older girl, or like even the kids in leadership in your school, like somebody that you can look up to a bit older than you, who can kind of like help you, like be there with you to ask for help and reach out. But even sometimes that's maybe not available. So my advice to you would be, if you're feeling as though you're struggling, because we have all been there and we will all be there again, like there's stuff that we're all going through. It's so vital to take that really scary, really big step and ask for help. I found sometimes when I was unable to kind of verbalize how I was feeling, I'd write it out. Like, I'd write a letter, I'd write a note, I'd write something, so it's not so like one-on-one, and you can just like sign your name on it and send it to maybe a teacher in your school who's really great, or a relative, or somebody that you want to talk to, and just be like, I would love to talk to you about this issue I'm dealing with, and I'm a little scared about it, but I really want your help. Let me know if we can chat. And I think that's maybe an easier way to do it. But the thing is, and for all of you girls, and you girls at home, being able to reach out and ask for help is just like, it's so vital and so necessary. So if that's something you need, please reach out and find somebody. And like I say, even if it's just a letter or a note, something, right?
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. You want to take this one?
What's your name?
Jordan.
And your question?
If you know like someone's being bullied, or like someone that is bullying someone, how do you like confront them and like tell them like, hey, that's not okay and stuff like that, if you don't have the confidence to do that?
That's a great question. I think a lot of us have dealt with watching bullying happen and, maybe not feeling confident enough to stand up to that person. I think the biggest thing is you maybe go to the person who's being bullied first, and you say, hey, I'm sorry that happened to you. Is there anything I can do to help support you? And I also think that you could be that supportive person if they're feeling afraid to go talk to someone, that you can be that person that says, hey, I can go with you. Like, we can go talk to someone. And honestly, I think if you are, if you know someone who's bullying another person, I think a lot of times bullying happens because they themselves are dealing with something. So I think a big thing is trying to get them to talk about maybe what's going on with them and why they feel the need to kind of be mean to other girls or boys or anyone really. And, because a lot of times bullying happens simply because we feel like we're not being heard, or we're hurting and we don't know how else to get attention.
That's great. And I actually want to, kind of add on to what you said, because that's exactly, it's such a beautiful way to put it, is, that hurt, again, it's like hurt people, and we lash out and we do these things. And to be able to, there's so many great tools now that are becoming available in terms of, social media. There's like reporting tools. A lot of schools have some kind of anti-bullying something in place. And to take advantage of that, I think the reason that this culture of unkindness thrives is because, especially in girl world, is because it's kind of of a secret. You know, it's kind of like we suffer in silence, and we don't talk about it, and we deal with it, and we, you know, like I say, put on that happy face, and then we go home and we cry and, you know, eat ice cream and watch reality TV and never want to go back out into the world. But to be able to take advantage of some of the tools that are available, and we're going to talk actually a little bit more about that later, about just ways to report this and ways to, you know, help someone out, because sometimes it's too scary to ask for help, you know, yourself. And if you see something happening, to be able to be the girl that kind of, even if you can't say something in the moment, because I get that's really hard sometimes, to be able to then do something like go to somebody and report it and talk to somebody about it in that way. But it sounds like you're a really great friend if you're worried about that. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. I don't think we have time. Okay. Okay, so thanks for those questions, guys. We are, you know, kind of going off of what we were talking about kind of the ways that, the reasons why we don't step up and you know, talk about, kind of intervene in bullying is what I'm trying to say. And the reason why we have a hard time kind of asking for help is sometimes, I think a lot of it has to do with fear, right? We're scared of being the target of the bullying. We're scared of, you know, being judged ourselves. We're scared of all these different things. So I think fear is one thing that actually really holds us back in so many ways, not just in creating a kinder girl world, but it holds us back in speaking our minds and sharing our ideas and trying out for stuff. And so what I want you guys to do, I know you girls at home and I know you girls here have filled out a couple cards. And so we'd like to get the 5 volunteers that volunteered earlier with your fear cards. If we could get you girls to come on down and join us up here. Round of applause for the girls coming down. It's very scary. So as these girls are coming down, Madison, I would love it if you would share maybe like 1 or 2 fears that you have either overcome or that you are still dealing with in the world right now. And girls, if you could just stand here.
I mean, one of my biggest fears, as I've said earlier, is speaking in front of people. It makes me really nervous and anxious, and so that's something that I've had to overcome. And you know, and then another one is, you know, being judged by people and being afraid of being myself, and, you know, being in kind of the public eye and putting things on Instagram, just being afraid that someone's going to have a negative comment back for me.
Right. I get that for sure. And so I'm hoping none of you have a big fear of public speaking, because you're all up here right now. So what I want to ask you girls to do is, actually I'll just maybe pass my mic all the way down, and you guys can just stay up here because we have a special little thing we're going to do at the end. I would love it if you would say your name and read out like a fear you have about, you know, some girl world social fear you have that maybe has been holding you back from something, okay? So I'm going to pass it down, say your name, read your card, and then we will regroup after.
Hi, my name is Nina, and so a huge fear I have is that I'm afraid that I'll dedicate my life to being successful, and then I just won't succeed in the end. I'll just fail somehow, and that kind of relates to Girl World because I feel that girls are held at a higher expectation to be successful versus like guys when it comes to things like traditionally male jobs or subjects in school and things like that. So.
My name is Allie Young, and I have a fear that I won't be friends with my friends anymore, and that like once I make new friends, I won't have time for my old friends. And I feel like I'm drifting farther and farther apart from my friends from my childhood, and that's like really bothering me. And it can be a real problem because once you think that your friend isn't like you anymore, then I think that you're wrong because she might want to hang out with you, but you're just too busy doing something.
Hi, I'm Destiny, and my biggest fear is like my looks and never being good enough. Like I'm in a weightlifting class and there's always someone that's better than me, and it's just really, I don't know, it really bothers me because I always want to be the best, but I can't.
My name is Lily. My fear is kind of off of what she said, is that failing and not being good enough. I feel like because of the expectations that society puts on us as girls that we hold ourselves to a high standard that we're not able to meet. And when we don't make that standard, we're really hard on ourselves as well. So being like my worst critic is really hard for me, and I'm afraid of failing in the end.
My name is Anna. I'm afraid of losing my mom because she's really been there, and most girls, like when they lose their mom or their dad or anyone in their family that they've been really close to, they end up going the wrong way in life, and they don't end up going towards the right way, like getting their education. So.
Wow. So girls, I'm gonna have you stay up here. That was so brave and so beautiful of you girls to share that. Like, I've got goosebumps for sure. I think the thing that I really heard from you girls, and I feel like a lot of us can relate to this, it's like the fear of failure, the fear of losing our friends or losing somebody that we love. And these are things that kind of like play over in our head. And so I'm sure Madison's got some good advice for you in terms of the trying to be the best and all that. So you want to share some advice?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I wish I could win every single match that I ever played. But, you know, there's a lot of talented women out there that I compete against. So I think the biggest thing is maybe not always looking at it as a negative thing, that maybe they're better than you right now, but just using it to kind of push yourself to be a little bit better, you know, and not wanting to be them, but using them as, hey, like, they're a little bit better than me. Maybe I can see something that they're doing that I'm not, and maybe I can push myself to get better.
That's great advice. Yeah, that's really good. And in terms of like the fear of losing our friends, I mean, I think that, do any of you guys remember here at home the like the BFF necklaces that like you break? Do you guys remember that? Do you ever have one of those?
I had some, and they were like the hearts and all of that, and you would wear them all of the time.
No, exactly. Yes. It was almost like this badge of honor, like, I have a best friend, you know? And I remember really wanting that best friend, and I never had that, so like I coveted this like heart-shaped thing. And I feel like sometimes though, you know, it's like funny it is to kind of talk about now, we put so much pressure on female friendships. Like the whole best friend forever, like we take the forever seriously, right? Like it's almost like it's non-negotiable, you guys. Like you are my friend forever.
It's like a lifetime contract.
It's a
you
lifetime.
Signed it. You're not getting out of it.
You're not getting out of it. It's like a friend, marriage, no divorce possible. And so we hang on so deeply, right, to these friendships, and we're so worried about them changing and then having nobody to sit with at lunch or not finding somebody else. And I think we add so much unnecessary pressure to ourselves when it comes to that. Like there's something kind of fluid about friendships because we're growing and we're changing, and sometimes people come in and out of our lives for just like brief moments, and they maybe teach us something, and then they go again, and maybe they come back. And you know, I think if we can be a little kinder to ourselves and kinder in terms of our friendships, and just understand that like we're maybe not going to have the same friends forever, and it kind of takes the pressure off, you know, and gives us permission to also grow as human beings and find different people that we like and different people we want to hang out with. It doesn't mean we have to lose touch with the people that have been in our past, but it's just being more accepting of this kind of transformation. I think that's really important. But what we're going to do now, because I see a room full of girls holding cards full of their fears, right? Let's hold them up. Let's see. Show us. Show us. And girls at home, please take your fear cards out. The fear cards where you wrote down the one thing that you're kind of most scared of. So, I don't know, I'm a bit curious, you might be curious, and you guys can do this along with us. Are any of you guys just tired of having that thing holding you back? Hands up. Like you're just like tired of it, you're tired of walking around with this thing. So what we're gonna do is...
And we apologize to all of the schools in advance for this.
We're gonna get in some trouble. We're gonna get some emails. We're okay with that. We're gonna make a little bit of confetti, okay? So if you girls feel like you are tired of these fears holding you back, I want you to start ripping these cards up. You girls up here, rip them up into a million pieces.
Rip them up. It's horrible.
There you go, tiny pieces, tiny pieces.
It's been going downhill ever since, so I'm not...
Okay, and girls at home, I hope you are doing this along with us. Okay. Madison, do you want to count them down And once Madison, listen, you know what's coming. You know what's about to happen. On the count of 3, Madison's going to count us down. On the count of 3, I want you girls. In fact, I want everyone standing up. If you're at school, stand up. In the audience, stand up. We're going to count down. You are going to throw that confetti in the air, and you're going to yell, "I am fearless," okay? Count them down.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
I'm fearless. Amazing. Thank you guys so much. Thank you so much for coming up here. You don't need those fears anymore. Thanks so much. Thank you. Thanks so much.
I grabbed your card.
Oh, you did. Thank you. We have some confetti. How mad are all the schools right now? They're like, they didn't tell us we need a broom.
This is why we apologize to all of the schools. Hopefully you have brooms ready.
I hope so.
Sorry.
Sorry, but it looks really pretty. So
it does look really pretty. It's a great color.
It's a great color. I was really looking forward to that part.
That's my favorite part every single time.
I was really looking forward to that part. So does anyone feel good? Like you feel a bit better? Like that fear thing? You're kind of working on that, getting, okay, I like that, I like that. So what we're going to talk about now is kind of the main reason why we are all here, which is about the actions we can take to create a kinder girl world. The actions we can take to be kinder to ourselves, the actions we can take to be kinder to each other, and why it's so important to do that, and to do that in our schools, and to do that in our communities. And I don't know if you'd like to introduce our very special guest that we have here.
Yes, we have a very special guest.
Oh, sorry. I was in my own little world there for a minute, forgetting this is live. We have a very special guest here today. Her name is Berna from Instagram. And Instagram has been doing some amazing work to create a kinder girl world online. And we actually have a little bit of a surprise for some girls in the audience here today, okay? So I would love for you guys to put your hands together. Welcome, Berna from Instagram.
Beautiful, mysterious thing on the center chair. Hi, everyone. My name is Berna. I work at Instagram back in San Francisco. My job at Instagram is Teen Community Lead, which is like, what do those words mean? I know. Basically, what it means is part of my job is to go across the country, a lot like what Kate does, and find incredible young people and uplift their voices in whatever way that I can, either on Instagram or off Instagram, like here in front of all of you. So I'm super, super, super excited to be here at the FearlesslyGiRL Anti-Bullying Assembly, surrounded by so many incredible young people, and I feel you, everyone also online, I feel your incredibleness as well. So thank you guys so much for having me.
Thank you. We are so happy to have you here. This is amazing. We love Instagram. And guys, follow FearlesslyGiRL on Instagram. We have so much fun behind the scenes, like we call them shenanigans, the things that we're up to over the next few days. So please follow along. Berna, I'd love it if you could tell us a little bit more about kind of what Instagram is doing to create a kinder girl world.
Sure. So Instagram is a very, very interesting world, right? Can we agree? Instagram is interesting. Sometimes good, sometimes bad. And we all know that that's the truth. So a few things that Instagram is doing, because we know that you have your perfect, wonderful, aesthetic world on Instagram, and that's nice. But we all know that there are trolls. There are terrible people. There are people who are gonna come on Madison's Instagram and be like, you didn't tennis enough. Come on.
And I mean, I even put a great filter on my pictures.
I mean, and yet it doesn't deter the haters, right? That's the worst part. A few things that Instagram is doing to try to deter the haters is one campaign that we're doing called the Kind Comments campaign. How many of you guys seen videos from Jimmy Fallon's mean tweets where celebrities read off mean tweets to themselves? Yeah, oh my, yeah. Viral. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, Jimmy Fallon, he is a talk show host, and he has celebrities come on their show and read off the meanest things that someone's ever said about that celebrity, which is ouch. So we wanted to sort of flip the script, and we are having people, through our Kind Comments campaign, we have Instagram stars and celebrities read the nicest things that people have ever said, the kindest comments that people have ever given them on their Instagram. And we're also having people, incredible, inspiring people from the community, look at the kind comments that they have received on their Instagram and feel great about that. So we've done a bunch of events across the US, and just encouraging people. It's a really simple campaign. Just be nice. Leave a kind comment on someone's Instagram. Just be like, girl, you cute. Or like, that was really hot. Like, I saw you today. That was nice. It's such a simple, tiny thing that you can do. And all it requires is like a little on your keyboard. But I mean, any of us who've ever received a nice comment or even a like on a picture, or you're like, that was a questionable selfie, you get that reassurance and you're like, man, that really, really made my day. Another thing that Instagram is doing to try to help the world be kinder online is a bunch of safety tools. So like we said, trolls will come in your comments and say whatever. A few things that you can do on your Instagram that we've released over the past few months. You can control your comments. You can turn them off entirely. If you just want the picture or the video to speak for themselves, or the comments are getting a little out of control, you can turn the comments off in your settings. You can go into your settings and go to this text box and write all the words you never want to see again in your comments. If people are saying crazy things, people comment a very specific thing on your Instagram all the time, you just don't want anyone talking with this specific word or even a specific emoji, you can go into your settings and totally X that out forever, which is awesome. When people try to comment with that word that you don't want on there, their comment just won't post at all. Another thing that you can do now, which is new, is you can control who comments on your pictures. So you can have it so that anyone, whoever sees your pictures can comment, or you can make it so that they have to be following you and you have to be following them to comment. So you don't get the randos that were not invited to comment on your face, Those are a few things that Instagram is doing to make sure that you feel more in control and have a safer, sort of kinder community around you when you're posting on Instagram.
Amazing, thank you. Okay, so.
Yes, so the reason that I am here, I am super excited to be here to present a very special award from Instagram. It's called the Kind Comments Award, and we give it to basically the kindest young creators that we could find on Instagram. Very exciting to be here today because we asked your schools to nominate young people who are showing kindness on and off the platform. And there are a few very special young people in the audience today that were nominated. So a few of you participate in this really awesome club called Girls Learn International. Raise your hand if you're part of Girls Learn. Holla! Lots of people. So Girls Learn International is a club that educates young people on the value of global education, the value of social change for girls around the world. And the staff at Pleasant Valley High School had a lot of kind things to say about their GLI members, which is awesome. Here's what they said. Lily Williams is a selfless, admirable human and devotes herself to the fight against gender-based discrimination. Whitney Inkton is a considerate, empathetic member of GLI who was super enjoyable to be around. And Ramya Kumar is the fearless founder of GLI at Pleasant Valley, and she was inspired to start GLI entirely by herself as a freshman. So I am so pleased to present the Instagram Kind Comments Award to the GLI members of Pleasant Valley High School.
Girls, please come join us.
Shiny plaque. Congratulations, ladies. One more round of applause for them.
Congratulations. And you guys can have a seat up here. Okay. Seat your pretty selves down. Okay, so congratulations, you guys. Like your school had some, I'm sorry, it's a little, we need like a little still step down there. Congratulations. We got, by the way, we got so many nominations from girls in this room. Like your schools love you guys. The sweetest things. And so it was really, really hard to pick a winner here today. But what me and Madison would love to do is we want to kind of know a little bit more about like what you guys actually do in your school. So I would love to know like what are you doing in your schools on a daily basis, monthly basis to create a kinder girl world?
Well, I'm going to let her answer that question. Okay. So pretty much, so the reason I started GLI was just so that like more girls could be educated on pertinent issues that are affecting women in the country and just around the world in general. So every week we have meetings discussing various issues such as the gender gap, how women are perceived in media, reproductive rights around the world. So the whole point of it is to educate and empower women through the resources and knowledge needed to create real change everywhere for everyone. So, yeah.
That's so well put.
And I'm wondering, did you get lots of positive feedback? Did you get negative feedback? Like, what was that like within your school and even online?
Yeah, so when I started it, I had a lot of friends who were very encouraging about the club, because we definitely need a group like this at my high school. And I realized that more and more when I received negative backlash for it. And that kind of made me, because boys would walk around wearing like their men in a shirt, or like, why isn't it called Boys Learn International? And I was like, okay, well, there's a reason it's not. I don't know, that just inspired me even more, because when you're surrounded by negative people like that, women need a place that is safe and that is welcoming, where they can share their thoughts and their ideas and not be put down for what they believe in. So yeah, that's pretty much why I started it.
No, that's amazing. Thank you. Yeah. Another question I have is, when it comes to like a club like this, or like another club in your school where girls can just kind of like get together and talk, like how much does that matter? Like how important is that to you?
I can give that to Lily.
I find it extremely important to have a group of girls that get together and they're passionate about a topic, and they can go out and, you know, just being powerful together. That's the main thing. And I think going back to the hate that you can get about the group, when people see a group of powerful women all getting together for a cause, it can be intimidating. And so that's a big deal, and we just try to get together and educate. That's the most important thing at our school, and it causes a lot of great things.
To add on to that, I think it's really amazing that we have this kind of group. It really opens your eyes to see like what's going on in the world, and like the things that you don't see on the news. You see bad things sometimes, and like more like local things around, instead of the things that are going on around the world. So like you understand like the things that may be covered up. You see it now, and like you want to do something, and you get to talk about it among other people, and you like understand that there's other people who want to help, and it's not only you.
That's such a great answer. And just to like, you know, follow up on that. So for girls, you know, who are, you know, maybe watching along at home, who don't have some kind of club in their school, what advice would you have to girls for starting something? And maybe you're the best answer to this, given that you started it. Like, what were the steps that it took in general to get something like this going in your school?
Okay, so when you want to start a chapter of Girls Learn International or Fearlessly Girl or Girl Up or whatever feminist organization, you kind of have to get pretty introspective. So like, what is it that's motivating you to start it? What are your passions? And then pretty much you have to use that to empower you and push you through creating the club, getting people to join, organizing activities and fundraisers. And yeah, I don't know, it's just like using your passion to create real change in your high school, I guess.
I love that, and it really matters, right? I mean, it's something that really is important and necessary to do. So thank you. That's great.
And what are you guys doing, you know, individually to help create a kinder girl world, just within the state, the nation, the world? Like, what are you guys doing outside of your schools?
I'm gonna give this one to Lily.
I was given the opportunity last January to go to the Women's March in Washington, and that was an amazing opportunity for me to see all these people gathered for the same cause and just trying to raise awareness for women's rights. And taking that experience back to the school and bringing that to our community to try to raise awareness here was a big deal. And I know Ramya went to the one in Des Moines too. So it's just finding things, even if you don't have a GLI chapter or a Fearlessly Girl chapter, finding things going online and finding organizations that you can volunteer in that will make a difference.
That's amazing.
Yeah, like Lily said, and also just the raising awareness part of it. So like an activity that GLI does every year is the International Human Rights Day. So we write down articles from the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and we put them up around the school on various posters. And I think, and a lot of people don't realize that these rights are granted to them at birth, regardless of what their gender, socioeconomic status, sexuality, whatever it is. We're all created equal. So I think just knowing that and being surrounded by people who believe that as well is really important.
Amazing.
To like add on to that, it's like overall, we have to make sure that we don't overlook these things, because if we overlook it, it's just going to keep happening. So we're going to have to try our best to make sure that everyone knows, not only girls, but like everyone around us in our schools, in our homes, try our best to make sure that everyone understands what's going on, and we need to do something to stop bad things from happening.
Girls, wow. I can see
That
why
is
they won
absolutely
this
amazing.
award.
You guys
Round
are
of
very
applause.
deserving of this award.
Thank you guys so much. You can take a seat. Hold on, I gotta get some hugs in here. I gotta get some hugs in here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Congratulations. Thank you guys. Okay, so take your fancy shiny award. That's very nice. Okay, so we actually went a little bit into our Q&A time, so we're just gonna cut out of that whatever we took. Does anybody have any questions in the audience? Do we have any online questions? Because we have a few minutes that I think we can maybe answer one or two. So, okay, great. We have a question from New Jersey. Sometimes I hang out with people who are not the nicest just so I'm not alone. What should I do? Great question. Because we all have that fear, right, of like eating alone and sitting alone and not having anyone, like that awkward feeling of not knowing where you're going to go. I feel like it doesn't always happen quickly, like finding your people, you know, like your group of friends. And, you know, again, it kind of goes back to that whole BFF thing where we put so much pressure on friendship and we think we have to have a lot of friends. So I would say definitely like try to like seek out people who you have stuff in common with, people you think are great, people that you look up to or admire, or, you know, have the similar interests and things like that, and kind of branch out. And maybe if you can't find anyone in your like immediate school setting, you know, join a club, join something after school, like put yourself out there to kind of get to know more people. And slowly after a while, you will start to find people that have more in common with you, so you're not feeling that pressure to stick with people that, you know, maybe aren't the best for you.
Would you like to ask a question?
Thought I could do this, and I walked up, and now my heart's like beating really fast. Okay.
You'll be good. You'll be good.
So, like, as a girl who's like experienced a lot of things that's broken my trust, it takes a long time for me to eventually trust someone. And I was like wondering how you could like, because it gets to the point where I don't think I can be friends with someone because I don't know if I truly trust them. Is there any ways that you can like break that down so you can like be easier to like get to know someone?
Well, I know for me, it takes me a lot to trust a person and let them all the way in. And I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, especially if there's been, you know, situations that have made you distrust a person. I think the biggest thing is that if that person is truly sorry and they apologize and they try to earn your trust back, I think you kind of just have to slowly let them see whatever parts of you that you're comfortable with, and then kind of just have to rebuild that trust, because it's a lot easier to trust someone when, you know, they haven't done anything to break that trust. And I think the person who's trying to earn your trust back has to understand that it's not going to be an overnight thing, and you were completely in the right to take your own time. And I think you just have to remember that, and you don't have to force it. And I think eventually one day you'll realize you've let them in really far and you actually trust them again.
Love that. Thank you. How about we go over here?
All right, so this is probably more for you, Madison, just because you're an athlete. But as a girl, we see like Major League Baseball, major other sports, basketball, football, and they're all men and they're all paid so highly. So as a girl involved in the world of sports, have you ever been treated differently than maybe your male counterparts?
Well, in tennis, we get equal prize money, but let me tell you, the men are not super happy that we get paid equally. And we've been fighting for equal prize money for so long, and it's still a topic that gets brought up all of the time. And, you know, it's frustrating because we put in the same amount of effort off of the court, training, all of this stuff. Why should we not? And, you know, I think the biggest thing is that you kind of just have to find your own thing. Like, I always loved watching tennis growing up, and I didn't even necessarily have to be watching a female to be inspired by them. But as I got more and more into women's tennis, I love watching women's tennis now. And even these people that I'm competitive against inspire me to try to be better. And, you know, I think we kind of just have to keep growing together. And I mean, hopefully there will be, you know, more WNBA games that are actually shown on TV and all of that. But I think for now, we kind of just have to help each other and support each other and kind of work as a team to kind of grow all women's sports across the board.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you. Let's go over here. What's your name?
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Emma.
Hi, Emma.
And my question is, how do you handle it when you start to feel jealous of your friends and the girls in your life?
That is an awesome question. How many of us can relate to that, feeling jealous of like our actual friends, like people we're supposed to just like love unconditionally? All of us. And again, I know I really especially feel it going through like perfect Instagram feeds, you know, and as much as I love Instagram, I'm just like, I wish that, you know, I was doing
And like
that.
as you're doing it, you have to remind yourself, you're like, I'm so happy for them.
Like, oh, you got engaged and got a puppy on the same day.
Right, like honestly, we're more jealous of the puppy.
Exactly, right? That's exactly it. Yeah, so it's really easy to kind of get swept up in that. And even though these are people that we like and hang out with, again, it's easy because the thing is that even with our close friends, we don't always realize like the battles that they may or may not have going on. We don't realize if there's any like insecurities or any, you know, self-esteem stuff or any like a great deal of pressure they put on themselves, you know? So even though we look at these girls and we think, wow, your life is just amazing, like you have all the things I want and all this, that was the most surprising thing for me in high school. And it was stuff that I even learned after high school when I kind of, the conversations just kind of got a little realer, you know, we weren't pretending as much. And to realize that the girls that I really thought had these perfect lives didn't. And so I think when it comes down to when you feel that way and you're starting to feel jealous, it's just to remind yourself like nothing is as it seems. We are all going through stuff, and try to remind yourself about like the awesome things that you have going on as well. You know, it's so easy to lose sight of that and just focus on what everybody else has. But to take a minute and to be truly grateful of, you know, the things you have in your life and to be mindful of all these things instead of just focusing on what we don't have. I think it's a really beautiful thing when we really notice like what we do have and the opportunities we have and how lucky we are. You know, like in so many ways we won the lottery, you know, because we're so lucky and we have so many things. So to be really mindful of that and really aware of that and really grateful. I mean, obviously I got grateful tattooed on my wrist, so that's a word that's important to me. But I think it's to kind of have that conversation with yourself is really important. Okay. So, Dear Girl cards.
Dear Girl cards, yes. Can we have the 10 volunteers who bravely
volunteered before they really knew what they were in for?
Exactly. Come up.
And so for you girls at home, as the girls are making their way down here, for the girls at home, you're going to have a chance to do this right after we wrap up, okay? So all you guys filled your Dear Girl cards out. For those of you that are confused about them, the Dear Girl card is something that we do at all our summits as just an opportunity for you guys to kind of write your main message to all the girls, you know, in this room and who are, you know, joining us online. You know, Madison and I know we feel the same way. It's such a privilege to be up here talking to you, but it's even, you know, a greater privilege to listen to you guys because I feel like you girls, this generation, your voice is so needed and it's so important. And we're so excited to invite these girls on stage to share with us their cards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start here with this beautiful, what do you even call this? I don't know, I like this. We're going to start here. I would love for you to say your name and read your card and then just pass the mic down. And just remember to keep the mic really close to your face, okay, so everyone can hear you.
I'm Haley Johnson, and I wrote, Dear girls, if you're having a tough time in your life, it only means your life is going to get better. Don't let anyone ruin your day and dreams, and keep smiling and keep dabbing on them haters.
I'm Kennedy, and I wrote, Dear girls, you are loved, you are worthy, and you are beautiful. Be bold, be courageous, and remain strong. Your worth is not defined by your past, and what you are going through right now is just a grain of salt in the rest of your life. And also, I often see people posting on social media that they wish they had real friends or people showed their real heart to them. And with the amount of people that say stuff like that, it's only right that we act as a team, like Kate said, and be bold in that. So.
Hi, my name is Felisa, and I'd like to say, dear girls, don't let what other people think of you control your life.
Hi, my name's Chloe, and I wrote, Dear girls, always be yourself. Never let anyone get into your head because you are perfect. You are amazing, and you can be successful at whatever you put your mind to.
Hi, my name is Riley, and I wrote, Dear girls, be yourself, looks don't matter, it's what's on the inside that counts.
Hi, my name is Jordan, and I wrote, Dear girls, no matter what anyone else says, you're amazing. You can do anything you put your mind to. You don't need another person to tell you that you're not better than someone else. Rock what you got.
I'm Elise, and I wrote, Believe in yourself and never accept less than you deserve. Confidence shouldn't be taboo. Don't feel bad about feeling good.
Hi, my name is Emily, and I wrote, no matter age, height, weight, race, anything, you matter. You matter to so many people, so don't give up trying, don't give up on anything. You are wanted no matter how you may feel. Yes, you may not look like that quote-unquote supermodel, but you are perfect just being you.
Hi, my name's Cheyenne, and I wrote, Dear girls, don't be scared to be yourself. Be kind and honest. Treat other girls the way you would like to be treated. Keep smiling.
Hi, my name is Billy Joe, and I wrote, Never feel like you're alone. You always have someone there for you. You can accomplish more than you think. You're more important than you'll ever realize. Love and stay true to yourself and spread kindness and positivity to others. Be vibrant and accept yourself and your own skin and rock your colors.
Hi, I'm Danielle. Just so you know, you do not need a guy that will you don't have to dumb yourself down for a guy. And don't let a guy get in the way of your confidence, because you better rock what you got and you better do your thing. Thank you so much. Another big round of applause for these girls. You guys can go take a seat. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm not crying, you're crying. That was so sweet.
That was really amazing.
Oh my gosh, I want to get all these together one day and just like put a book out with all this like amazing advice. Girls, that was incredible. Thank you so much for coming up and sharing that. And like I said, girls at home who are joining along, we're gonna have some time at the very end here while we kind of wrap things up here for you girls to maybe pick 10 or so girls to come up in front of everybody there and read your cards out as well. So, and if anyone can get that on video or anything, we'd love to see that later as well.
Yes, please tag us, and we'd love to see that. And thank you for being a part of this amazing journey that Kate and I are on.
We had no idea what we were getting into when we started this. We really didn't. We just had these ideas. We sat down and we were like, what if we did the biggest assembly ever? And we had no idea what it would take, but it definitely is so great to be here with you guys today. We actually have a few minutes, so I don't know if anybody in the audience has a few last-minute questions for us that they didn't get to ask, because we'd love to hear from you guys. And if there's anything else coming in online, we'd love to kind of do a couple more online questions as well. So why don't you start us off?
I was wondering what personal sexism you've gone through and how you pushed through it to start a conversation about it.
That's a great question. And I think the thing is, and I mean, I always say this when I do the summits and we talk to the girls, it's like, just because this is girls only, like, we are not against the boys, like they're a vital, integral, necessary part of this conversation. And I think we do have to invite them into the conversation. I mean, there's so many ways that you experience different forms of it. And I know, kind of when I started off in the speaking world, there weren't that many young women doing it. So it was kind of like, oh, look, aren't you a cute little girl speaker? Like, that's sweet, you want to do this. And I felt like I really had to, and it pushed even harder, but it motivated me to do it, because I'm like, no, like this, I'm scared to do this. Like, every time before I would speak, I would shake and I'd be so nervous and I would freak out, but I just knew that it was important to have this conversation, and to have people doubting me in the industry it was very motivating, because I'm like, no, like, this is important, and the fact that you think it's not important makes it even more important. So I think that's an important thing, just to keep like powering through. But I'm sure you've experienced it, in the sport world, like you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, what I do is very male dominated. So even when we're going in and, you know, people are asking you questions about other sports or something, they're like, oh, you wouldn't know, you're a girl. It's like, no, actually, I do know. One, I play the sport too. But, you know, I think, and it's the constant trying to tear female tennis players who are amazing down by comparing them to men. Like, men are faster and stronger, it's just how it is. But that doesn't mean that women are not, because they can't beat a man at the same level. That's just not how it is. So I think little things like that, where someone will try to diminish your accomplishment because they'll say, oh, but if you played a guy who was ranked the same way, you would lose. It's like, no, that's not actually how it works, but thank you for coming.
Awesome. Okay, so we're going to do one more question. I think we have something from social media. And Jolly, is that your name? I don't know how to say that, via email. I'm friends with someone, but they're always putting me down in public. What should I do? Well, that sounds like maybe not a great friend. But it's hard, I get it. Like, it's so hard to navigate the world of friendships and to be able to kind of really figure out what is a good friend and what isn't a good friend. But even just the act of asking that question, I feel like is a really powerful thing. And that's something that we do in all the chapters and all our in-school summits, is just getting girls talking about these things and having a conversation, because then you can really figure out, like, is that a good friend? Like, is that somebody I want to hang out with? And it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier about, like, looking for friends kind of, you know, that support you and elevate you. And, you know, maybe it's a little scary for a while and maybe you don't know where they're coming from, but I think when you can surround yourself with people that really elevate you and really lift you up and really make you feel supported, it's worth kind of doing the extra work to find that. So anyway, that would be my advice for that. I don't know if you have anything you want to add.
I mean, I would just say maybe don't hang out with that friend so much. I mean, if someone's constantly tearing you down, then they don't seem like a really great true friend. And I think even if you have to separate yourself from that person and not have a super close friend immediately, you'll find someone who, you know, helps build you up and isn't always tearing you down. And at the end of the day, that's going to make you feel a lot better than, you know, being with someone all of the time who doesn't always make you feel great.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Okay, guys, so I wish we could get to all your questions. Madison and I are actually going to hang out here a little bit after, so if you have anything you want to ask us, you can come find us. But this, and we could keep going all day. Maybe next year we're going to do an all-day one of these. You're in the audience, you're like, please no. We'd like to go get lunch. We'd be happy to keep going. But this brings us to the end. And I want to thank all the girls at home. Like I said, we had 7,000 girls sign up in schools across the country, and we are so happy you guys could make it. We got to be up here in front of all of you, but what you didn't see is the amazing people behind the scenes who have put together these beautiful backdrops, who have made this whole thing possible, who have sponsored this, who have volunteered. This whole community has come together in, I'm gonna cry, the most moving, beautiful way to support this. And it's such an incredible opportunity to get to launch this in the States, right here in the Quad Cities. I'm not gonna say what state I'm in because I still don't remember.
Illinois.
But I'm so grateful. So we'd really love to thank D Films, who were so instrumental in putting this whole thing together. We have Augustana, USTA, Net Generation, and Nike, who have been just huge supporters of this whole mission. So we'd like to have all of you give them a big round of applause right now for making that possible. And we would love you girls here, you girls at home, to join in the Fearlessly Girl mission. Madison and I are so passionate about this cause, and we're so excited to take it across the country. And there's so many ways to get involved, whether it's, you know, having us out at your school, starting a chapter, all sorts of things. So if any of you are interested in that, please go to FearlesslyGiRL.com. Definitely follow any and all of us on Instagram, because I know there's going to be a lot of fun stuff, especially these next 2 days coming up.
Yes, please share any pictures, videos, tag us in it. We'd love to see all of it.
We would. So we are wrapping up just a few minutes early, so that's going to give you girls at home a chance to start reading your Dear Girl cards. And thank you so much for joining us. I know it means so much to Madison and I hope we can all think of maybe 1 or 2 things we can do every single day just to create that kinder girl world in our schools, in our communities, but most importantly, being kinder to ourselves, because I think that's really where it starts. And if you are struggling and you are going through something and you do need help, please reach out. It's such an important step to take, and we definitely encourage that. And yeah, I don't know if you want to say a few words.
I mean, I think it's just thank you again. Thank you everyone who, signed up online, and thank you everyone who came out today, and, everyone who helped put this amazing experience on. And I know this means a lot to Kate and I.
Thank you. So let's do one more cheer on the count of 3. I want everyone to yell at here and at home, I'm fearless, okay? 1, 2, 3. I'm fearless. Awesome. Okay, thank you guys so much. And if anyone wants to come down and ask us any questions, take some pictures, we would love to meet you.